Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. Today, our guest is Dr. Imran Sarihasan, graduated from the University of Debrecen in Hungary in 2020 with a PhD in labor migration. Areas that Dr. Imran works in are human mobility, labor markets, migration statistics, immigrant entrepreneurship, and gender studies. She works at the Institute of Philosophy and Sociology of the Polish Academy of Sciences as Pacific Postdoctoral Fellow. Okay, let's begin with the first question. Could you please tell us about the project you're currently conducting?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for having me today here. Actually, I am conducting a project about the persisting immigrant entrepreneurship during the economic downturn. And recently, we faced a huge economic crisis due to COVID-19. So, especially, I am focusing on what kind of problems they have faced during the COVID-19 and what kind of the policies, actually, governance in the destination countries apply to sustain their business. I am focusing on the three main countries, Hungary, Germany, and Poland. And I am here almost now 7 months, and I am conducting the interviews with migrants. And luckily, almost the end. So that's my project.
We would like to go back in time and ask about the pandemic situation in the countries you just mentioned. How did the pandemic impact the labor market in Turkey, taking into an account medical market stuff?
Okay. Actually, COVID-19 was a very unexpected incident for all the countries in the world, and the non-governance, also the people wasn't ready for it. And when it has been started, actually, I was pursuing my PhD degree in Hungary, and I back to my home country after 8 months later. So situation when I back was much better than at the beginning. But still, restriction was there, and the social distancing and everything. We were still careful about it. As I said, like in everywhere, as the pandemic spread, the demand for the healthcare workers, including the doctors, nurses, and the medical staff, surged significantly. And hospital and the healthcare facilities face the challenge of providing the adequate healthcare services to the growing number of the patients and requiring the additional the personnel to handle the increased workload. But of course, the rapid increase in the COVID-19 cases and created the strains of the healthcare system in Turkey. Particularly in some regions where the population number was much higher, such as Istanbul and Ankara, capital of the city, experienced the shortages of the healthcare professionals, especially when it was the peak time of the virus. So healthcare workers didn't face only the long working hours or the burnout, but also increased the risk of the exposure to the virus. So to address the increased demand for the healthcare workers, the Turkish government and the healthcare institutions implemented to train additional medical staff, but also it involved the initiatives such as the hiring recent medical graduates and expediting the licensing process and deploying the retired healthcare professionals to support the workforce. And with that, there is a very interesting things. The telemedicine platforms and the promote remote consultation, the monitor patients and deliver the healthcare services digitally increase in the Turkey. And this also lead to the emerge of the new job opportunities in telemedicine and the digital health fields. Should I give an example about it?
Yes, please.
Yes, you
Okay. Actually, when you were feeling that you are having some sort of the symptoms for the COVID, you shouldn't go to the hospitals or the emergency. You just simply was calling to the emergency and was telling to them that I am having a kind of the symptoms and this is my address. So they were sending to the nurses and taking the test and everything while you are at home. And every Turkish citizens was having a kind of a program and the application in their mobile phone. And after 4 hours, you were able to see the result, negative or positive. So if it is a positive, they were calling you again and was telling you that okay, you are affected by the COVID-19, and they were coming to giving to the medicine at home. But at the same time, they were asking to you that which people or the person actually you interact last 1 week or 24 hours, and they were taking the information for those people too, and by calling them and asking them if they having a sort of the symptoms, and they were applying the same approach to them as well. So it actually helped Turkey that, like the keeping the social distancing, but at the same time to the not so many people to go to hospital and got affected, or even if you are not affected, to protect you the risk to be affected. So and up to date, actually, the telemedicine and the digital platforms, all the Turkey is increased. And it also created new job opportunities for the people who wants to work in this field.
I think in Poland, similar.
Yeah, so that's a great thing, actually. If I should speak about in the case of the unemployment in the economic impact that the COVID-19 affected in Turkey. Of course, the pandemic led to economic distribution and the closures of business in various sectors, including hospitality, tourism, and retail, and the resulted in the job losses and increased the unemployment rates affected not only for the medical professions that time who got affected by the virus and just left the job, but also the workers across the different industries. That time, government actually tried to give some financial support to the sectors, such as they said you shouldn't have to pay the tax right now, but also they said that we are going to pay the half of the salaries of the employees, and they did it. But still, because of the population number and because of the economical situation also that time Turkey was facing, still we are struggling to recover from the COVID-19 impact. And I think it is also very early to discuss the long-term effect. We are still discussing the short-term effect, and I think long-term effect we will understand what actually happened after 10 years or something.
But short-term effect, I think, is quite visible.
These are the short-term effects.
Also among entrepreneurs and businesses.
Yes, this is also another issue that especially employers, I think, the much more affected than the employees, because they took also responsibility for the employees, but also they had to take care of their businesses
and salaries
and everything.
Did any immigration-based issue play a role during the lockdown?
Mm-hmm. Of course, I can't say that there wasn't. Of course, there was a migration-based issues, serious issues, but I will try to explain them under the three titles, because for me these are the most important things. The first, challenges for refugees and migrants. Turkey hosts a significant number of the refugees and the migrants, especially after the Syrian conflict started 2011. Turkey, Jordan, and Lebanon hosting a huge number of the Syrian refugees up to date. And the lockdown measures, not only in Turkey but in all over the world where the migrants and the immigration numbers are huge, the measures and the restrictions affected this vulnerable population, leading to the challenges such as limited access to the healthcare, loss of the livelihoods, and increase the risk of the poverty and the food insecurity. Another thing is that informal work and precarious employment. Many refugees and migrants also in Turkey and in the other part of the region work in the informal sector. What we want to say actually for the informal sector is that where there is a low wages, bad working conditions, and informal sector actually contain a job which we are calling as a precarious jobs. So the lockdown restrictions and the closure of the businesses and the economic downturn impacted their livelihoods extremely badly, and they faced the risk of the job losses and reduced the income and limited social protection, and because of that it also leads them to work in the precarious works much higher than before. And another thing is that during the COVID-19, what was the most important thing? Accessing the healthcare system, right? But many migrants and refugees also face the difficulties in accessing the healthcare. Especially those without a legal documentation faced barrier in accessing the healthcare services during the lockdown, and this could be because of the various factors, such as we can say that the language barrier, lack of the information because they didn't know that where they have to go and apply or something, and financial struggles, and of course fear of the deportation.
Yeah, and maybe that's like a question. Did it happen so that maybe workers who were able to provide people with information due to their unconscious bias and like microaggression, like said, no, I don't know how to help you, and just
actually, as I said, that the migrants who is working in the secondary job market already like the out of the social protection, and out of the like the adequate information about everything. They just want to live, and they just want to earn, even if it's a little money. So, but in that time, it became more obvious that they just left out of the everything without financial support, without like the information for the healthcare and everything. So that's why it leads those people to do ensuring the equitable access to the healthcare.
And I would like to ask you about the labor market. Is there any discrimination and bias, maybe considering the countries you just mentioned?
Yes, of course, like the discrimination and the bias on the labor market, including the lack of the recognition of the foreign diplomas. Actually, this is the main thing, can be a significant challenge faced by immigrants in various countries. For example,
outside the European Union,
also inside the European Union, outside of the European Union, in everywhere. Like I can't say, specifically all those countries are applying the discrimination of the immigrants. In the everywhere where immigrants and refugees population higher, there are some discrimination and biases applying to make them being a part of the labor market. So immigrants are often face discriminatory practice during the hiring process. And employers may favor native workers over foreign migrants, and even if they possess the necessary qualification and skills. And prejudice based on the ethnicity, nationality, or immigration status can lead to unfair treatment and limited job opportunities for the immigrants in the destination countries. But on the other hand, that there is another thing which is like the wage disparities compared to the native workers. Even when they have similar qualifications and experience, we see that like the migrants earning much less than the natives. And this wage gap can be attributed to the discrimination and the language barriers, lack of the awareness about the labor rights, because of the lack of the information, and the employers exploiting the vulnerable position of immigrants. So actually they are taking advantage because of this situation. And as I mentioned, that there is also another thing is that where it comes to their educational attainment skills and their diploma recognition, some host countries actually do not recognize their diploma like in their educational standard.
But what about the Bolognian system?
That's
right?
what I am going to say actually right now. Some countries have established a credital evaluation process.
The ECTS points.
Yes,
right?
And so like based on these, like some access to equivalents of foreign qualifications such as USA, UK, Canada, France, in Europe. And however, the process also can be complex and time-consuming, and at the same time costly. and creating the additional barriers for immigrants. The lack of the transparent and streamlined recognition system can prolong the integration process and hinder the immigrants' access to the suitable employment still. It is also taking a lot of time, This is not just something you are giving your diploma and they are going to give you a stamp that, okay, this diploma is like the equal to our diploma system. It is also taking time.
Yeah.
And in the other side is that immigrants also facing stereotypes and biases that affect their perceived competence and suitability for certain jobs. These biases can stem from cultural misunderstandings and linguistic differences and preconceived notions about the immigrants' abilities, such as biases can limit immigrants' advancement opportunities and prevent them from fully utilizing their skills and expertise. And lastly, immigrants may also experience discrimination and bias within the workplace itself. They face exclusion, unequal treatment, and limited opportunities for the career progression. And the discrimination also can create a hostile work environment and contribute to the low job satisfaction among the immigrants. But I have to mention this, that addressing the discrimination and bias on the labor market and the lack of the recognition of foreign migrants' diplomas requires comprehensive actions. So this may include implementing the anti-discrimination laws in the countries and policies, and promoting diversity and the inclusion and hiring practice, enhancing the awareness of the labor rights and equal opportunities, establishing a fair and a transparent credital evaluation process, and providing the support and the resources for immigrants to navigate to the labor market successfully. And the collaboration, of course, between the government, employers, educational institutions, and the migrant support organization, also the crucial to address these challenges effectively.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they are the countries which have lack of experience with dealing with this kind of affairs.
Mm-hmm.
What can be done in developing countries for them to have an easier approach to huge inflows?
From the policy implication perspective, developing countries actually facing a significant influx of the migrants and can take several steps to facilitate and make the situation easier and also address the associated challenges. For example, developing countries should establish a comprehensive immigration policies and legal frameworks to promote safe, orderly and regular migration, and clear and transparent immigration laws, regulations, and procedures can help manage and regulate the migration flows effectively. This is the first thing. And another thing is that enhancing the capacity of the government institutions and relevant stakeholders is essential. And this includes the training the immigration officer and establishing an effective border management system and improving the data collection and analysis to the better understanding for the migration patterns and the trends. Also strengthening the coordination between different governance departments, agencies, and international organizations can ensure the comprehensive and coherent response to the challenge posed by large inflow of the immigrants. Moreover, developing countries should prioritize the protection and the respect of the migrants' human rights. Developing countries also establishing a mechanism to prevent and address the human rights abuse, and such as the labor exploitation, human trafficking, and discrimination, and access to the justice, legal aid, and support service should be provided to the migrants, particularly vulnerable groups such as women, children, and refugees.
And disabled people?
Yes, and disabled peoples, yes, who is among these refugees and the migrants. But also another thing can be done that promoting the integration of migrants into the social, economic, and the cultural fabric of the host countries is crucial. This can be facilitated through the language and the skill training programs, job placement support, and access to the education, healthcare, and social services. Fostering the social cohesion and interactive dialogue can help with the understanding and acceptance between migrants and the host communities. For example, there is no integration program in Poland for migrants, for immigrants.
Really?
There is no integration program, especially because I am working for the immigrant entrepreneurs who establish a business here, and most of them are really successful. But when it comes to, especially for the language, they are facing huge challenges when they are going to somewhere to legalize their status and everything. So the question was that if there is any integration program which make you to do, like the integrating the society better in terms of the making you learn the language and make you or give you some information about the, labor culture here or some entrepreneurial support and activities, and all of them said no. So this is actually, a gap in Poland should be fulfilled as soon as possible. But the situation is same also in Hungary. Only in Germany they are giving to the integration program to migrants to learn the German, and in that way they aim to make them to understand the culture and also make them to to find a job easier and so on. And another thing is what can be done is of course engage in the regional and international cooperation to manage the migration flow effectively, and collaborative the efforts can involve the sharing best practice and exchanging the information and coordinating the efforts to address the common challenges. Regional frameworks and agreements can facilitate the regular and orderly migration while protecting the rights of the immigrants. And lastly, I can say that addressing the root causes of the migration requires the promoting economic development and job creation in the country of origin. And the development programs can focus on the poverty reduction from their country of origin and the sustainability livelihoods and the inclusive the economic growth, and can help reduce the push factors of the migration. But I can confidently say that these are very general approach which is made by me, but there is no one size fits all approach. The strategies should be ordered to the specific contexts and the challenges of each developing country,
as each country needs different approach.
Yes, because long-term planning, stakeholder engagement, and ongoing evaluation of policies and programs are essential to create a beneficial environment that benefits both migrants and host communities.
So neither in Poland nor in Hungary there is no policies that has been applied.
There are policies for migration, of course, every country has some foreign policy, but the thing what I wanted to say about the integration programs, for example, if someone, even while coming here with a work permit or work visa from their country of origin, still you have to make sure that these people knows your language, or if they don't know, there should be a specific courses or the integration program which will make them learn your language. Or if they are working as employees, or if they want to create a business here, you have to make those people to learn your business culture. This is also a very huge problem, because if someone do not know about your business culture, after sometimes they are unable to adapt.
Yeah, but I think in Poland, this is a specific situation. But when it comes to Ukrainian immigrants and also Belarusian immigrants, they actually, if they want to have status in the employment facility, they need to go to a course to learn Polish. So we have this.
Yeah, but also in Poland they have specific Ukrainian schools for the Ukrainian children as well.
Yeah.
So this is a very specific situation, and the immigrants actually, which I took interviews, I think there is no Ukrainian, and most of them, as I say, the immigrant entrepreneurs and who come here and establish their business after 2010. So
business
after this is up to date, and it is a very long term, between 2010 and 2023 up to date 23. So up to date there is no integration program.
So about access to the labor market. After we spoke about, for example, opening a business here and stuff, what kind of difficulties immigrants are facing in terms of being part of the labor market? We're talking about integration process, their status, any paperwork that needs to be validated by the state.
Okay, as I said, like the first barriers comes with language and the cultural barriers. In terms of the, like the opening a business, or if you want to work as an employee also. And another thing is that immigrants are facing difficulties in finding the employment due to the language barriers, and the lack of the fluency in the local language can limit their access to the job opportunities and the communication in the workplace, even in the same place. So additionally, differences in the cultural norms and the practice may affect their ability to navigate the job market effectively. And at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, that they are encountered the challenges in having their qualification and skill recognized in their new country. Differences in education systems and professional standards, and can lead to the devaluation of their qualification, or the need to undergo the additional certification and the training to meet local requirements.
And what if those trainings are in the language of the host?
So this is also another problem, and as I said, this is also time consuming for them, and during that time what they will do, it is their business. No one is interested in it.
And it can also, I think, make other potential business partners feel like it's not a safe option to work. This is
it
very...
is calling, actually, yes. Also, it is calling a social network. When immigrants are having the social network, so they are sharing all the information. And if someone is having a successful story in the country and not... actually, immigration is a very good opportunity for the countries, the economic development,
to grow,
especially if they are going to open a business. So if an immigrant are having a good and a successful story in the destination country, definitely those people are telling to the other people in their countries that environment is really soft. You can just invest your money here, and it will be very easy for you. But if someone is speaking about the lack of the recognition of their qualification, or the language and the culture barriers, or some lack of the policies which is implemented by the destination countries, of course, definitely it is giving a negative effect of the country as well. And another thing is that, as you say, that the legal status. It is a huge problem, and work authorization. Actually, undocumented immigrants or those with the uncertain legal status often face significant hurdles and accessing to the formal labor market. This may be limited to the low-paying and informal jobs with the poor working condition and little job security. And obtaining a legal status actually can be a lengthy and complex process, and we all now know that, and further complicated and their integration into the labor market. For example, if someone is applying for the residence permit or work permit here, it is taking, if you are lucky, 8 months.
So do you think the worst situation is in Poland, considering Poland, Hungary and Germany?
No, it is not. I can't say, it is specifically for Poland. This is the process actually, for most of the countries.
And it's, I think also, I think it's worth adding that, for example, in Poland, if you hire an immigrant without work permission, the person hiring can have a lot of issues and a lot of fines. They have to pay a lot of and when the process is so long for an immigrant to actually gain the permission, they will starve. They will starve, and they will
of course,
so it's like,
do not give a chance to people.
It's like a process that should be quick and easy, and then the country could grow, and it's just like
But on the other side, that we are speaking about the immigrants employees, but what about the immigrants entrepreneurs? This situation is worse, because once you applied for it, your passport is there and you can't leave the country. Can you imagine for a businessman who have to travel to other countries
to
to
leave.
preserve the raw
Yeah.
material or to make some agreement? This is a very, very huge challenge. And they are facing that. They are facing
Yeah.
not in Poland, but also in Hungary, also many other, like the countries. Yeah, there are some attempts to actually trying to make the situation and this process faster, especially for the people who has a businessman or the businesswoman or businesswoman status.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, I believe so. There is a long way to go about it because I can't see any improvement yet.
Yeah, and also you mentioned Poland, Hungary, right? So and also Germany
Yes.
as of the studies. So I have a question: how does being stateless affect people's lives in those three specific countries, from your experience?
Actually, I think first I have to give the definition of the stateless because most
Sure.
of the people do not know what stateless means and what we actually, want to say when I say that, okay, this person is stateless. Actually, stateless person means that this person do not have citizenship in any country in the world. This is very interesting for me because, those people actually having a residence permit, okay, but they do not give them a citizenship. I know one person, and his story was so touchy. He's an immigrant from Iraq to the, I will not mention the country because of the, personal privacy.
One of the European
One
Union
of the
countries.
European Union country,
Okay.
yes, countries. So, he said when I moved to the Europe, his first destination country was Ukraine as a student from Iraq. And he said that time we didn't know anything and we just wanted to, leave the country behind because there was a huge uncertainty. War was started and, as a young person, you just want to move in your life because if there is a war in a country, it has nothing to do with the citizens. And it doesn't make people bad.
It's just
it
politics.
Doesn't, yes,
Yeah.
it doesn't make people terrorists or something,
Yeah.
These are still people, good people. And he just wanted to have a better life like many refugees and migrants. And he left the country. And of course, in that time, once you left the country, you can't go back to your home country again. You are in the list. It was at that time's political situation. So he became, when he came to Ukraine, he was already stateless. But because of the, the situation of being a student, he was just, having a residence permit and so on. But he said that I never saw my situation more bright or something, even in Ukraine. So I wanted to move to another European country. He said we didn't have another option as a 5 friends, but we make an agreement with a human smuggler. Human trafficker, and they gave money to this person, and this person took them in another country which was near to their target country. And he said after that he called the police, and the police came and took back us to again Ukraine, and they put us in the prison.
So smuggler called the police.
Yes.
So he took money for
for them. Yes, and they just he said it was it was so hard to even for him to speak about those topics, but I even couldn't believe that how something like that can happen to a human being. He said we were in the prison for 2 months, and he said the prison was somewhere even the animals cannot live there. That's
In
much
Ukraine.
bad. Yes,
Oh.
in Ukraine it is like normal prison. I think in everywhere. I can't say that prison is
I mean, I don't know. I've never
Yes.
been to one.
Yes, me too, but that is actually what he was telling. He said after 2 months they just release us, and we found another smuggler to try again.
Oh no.
Yes.
Doesn't sound
and
well.
and they did it because they didn't have any other option.
Yeah.
Because we cannot understand those people's situation, And they were in the 1 week or something in the forest in the country, and then the country's police actually found them, and he established a life there right now. But how?
At
There
what
is no
price?
citizenship.
At what price?
Yes, there
Yeah.
is no citizenship. And the
So he couldn't even apply for a visa legally?
No, nothing. They can't do anything. They can't, because there is no any ID card for you. There is no passport. There is no ID card. There is no citizenship.
And you can say your own surname and name and date, and they will be like, but I don't have it.
I don't have any
you can be Santa Claus, and
yeah. So they can say that, like, how I will know that you are this person? There is no any proof about it. They gave them a residence permit, but it is like you cannot leave the country.
Like
so
asylum.
It is like open prison for them, and like it is like that for years. And he said, I am only praying that one day I will get a citizenship and I will leave the country. Like, they got married, they are having a children in the same country, but you know what is the funny thing is that stateless is like for going to the generation. So this is all awful. But thing is that even those people in that country giving to right to be establish a business, and those people are paying the taxes and everything, but still they do not give them the citizenship.
It sounds like an open prison, actually. Yeah, and you have family in another country, and you cannot visit them.
No,
you cannot.
No, nothing. You cannot move.
Horrible.
You cannot do anything.
Yeah.
And if those people are, of course, like the stateless and the employers, if like the know it, of course, every time like they are more vulnerable than the other immigrants group. They are facing like lots of discrimination, bias, and every time they are feeling fear of the deportation.
Yeah.
So this is their situation. If the person is not so smart, they are working under the very bad condition for the work and everything with the very little wages to just survive. And even if they are so qualified, because of there is no anything to make them to provide their qualification, there is no degree, no diploma, nothing. So that's why they accept every work which they offer to them. This is being stateless.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. I know it's a story of your friend, but
it was very touching.
It was so touching.
Okay, this person is not not my friend, but it was one of the participants of my project.
Okay.
So
just a person that you know, and
the person. But it was really touching for me to even listening the story, that I was thinking that how these things can happen to a person, and how people just can close their eyes to this situation.
Yeah.
This is so curious for me. And these are also people. These are the human beings too. If we call the human rights, and if we call the human being those rights, and these terms should apply all
equally.
The humans.
Yeah.
Yes, despite of the ethnicity, despite of the country of origin, despite of the language and everything.
Yeah. I think this summarizes our conversation perfectly, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, I'm very inspired right now to actually be even more grateful for how well I can feel in my own country without the fear of anything that was mentioned. So it really is an eye-opening story.
For me it was same too. Even if I am working for the topic of the migration, as I said before starting the conversation, but every time when you are listening to people's stories, you are learning a lot, and you are seeing that there are a lots of topics actually we didn't study on, we even do not recognize as an important topic. But I think being stateless and the connection with migration should be studied, and also should be given to the importance as it deserves as soon as possible.
Thank you for that. Thank you
for sharing this story with us.
Thank you very much.
So it will be available on Spotify. Thank you. So we're back once again with final questions. Sorry. So we already spoke a little bit about this, but I want to dive deeper. How do locals approach immigrants in terms of us versus them narratives, or other elements of prejudice or mistrust, or like maybe completely opposite? How does it look like?
Actually, the way locals approach immigrants can vary significantly depending on the specific country, region, even the individual, attitudes. But it is important to note that the people's attitudes and toward immigrants can range from welcoming and inclusive to hostile and prejudice. For example, in many societies, locals embrace immigrants and value the contribution they bring. This is the one truth. And they may recognize the economic, cultural, and social benefits that immigrants can bring to their communities. And these individuals may actively promote diversity, multiculturalism, and integration of the immigrants into the broader society. They may offer support, friendship, and assistance to help the immigrants adapt to their new environment.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, unfortunately, in some cases, locals may adopt the us and them and the narrative perceiving the immigrants as a threat to their culture and identity or the economic well-being, and sometimes it can be also lead to the discrimination and the xenophobia. But also immigrants may be seen as a scapegoated for social or the economic challenges, leading to the negative and the lack of the trust between the local population and the immigrants. Such attitudes can manifest in the policies, discriminatory practices, and the social tensions. I want to say that it is essential to recognize that all these attitudes can involve the overtime and the influenced by the many different factors, and such as socioeconomic conditions in the countries and the political climate, media, platforms, and presence of the support networks and integration programs, as I just said. And the efforts to promote understanding and the cultural exchange and the dialogue between locals and immigrants can help bridge the divides and foster the more inclusive societies. But the government policies that address the discrimination, promote the diversity, and provide opportunity for the interaction and integration can also play a crucial role in the shaping the attitudes towards the immigrants in the societies.
Yeah. I just would like to add that I think this is a good moment for me to say a little bit about the research specifically regarding Ukrainian immigrants in Poland. So we had some workshops and I assisted them, and we asked Ukrainian immigrants what type of discourses or us versus them narratives they have heard, and the amount of categorization and saying like ungratefulness, and you said like maybe job stealers, or like you said something about that they have already this bias, that identity.
Yes.
So also I've heard that some people say that basically immigrants in general, they can carry diseases, and they can it's just horrendous, because you can go to, for example, Italy for vacation and come back as well sick, and it's just very sad. I just like to add it here, because I think this really shows how horrendous some claims can be.
But as I said, that it depends on the I believe so education level of the society, which is like not easily affected by the media and not easily affected everything, but actually platforms and things are said. So even we can see some differences in the same society. Like you can see some people are very welcoming to immigrants, but some people are just like the acting to them like the in a hate way, or saying that, as you say, you have a disease or something. It totally depends on the also economical situation of the country, because some people are thinking that when immigrants are coming, they are going to take our jobs. But no one is thinking that if a person is working in that condition as a citizen, can you accept to work in the same condition and the same job?
People take jobs that host communities do not want to take. But immigrants are working in that jobs, and most of them are working in the constructions
manufacturing, and at the same time there are some skilled immigrants which we saw during the COVID-19 as a healthcare workers. They were really helpful, and the countries actually recognized those skills and the help that time. It is not something every time like I think we should see anymore, and I hope that it will change in future.
Yeah.
Migrants, immigrants, immigration process as an opportunity in the countries for the economic development, and it can be also diversity is not something bad. Diversity is richness.
Unites.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is richness. So cultural diversity is the richness. Language diversity is the richness.
We can learn from each other.
Yes, this is not a threat.
Yes, we can be
United
in
in
diversity.
Yes. Yes. This is our logo
Logo of our podcast.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Imran.
Thank
it was
you.
very nice having you here.
Yes,
me too. For me, I really enjoy. I hope you enjoyed too.
Yes,
Of
we
course
learned
we
a
did.
lot
It was
today.
so
Yes.
interesting.
And we hope that you too.
Our listeners.
Our listeners. Bye.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.